the stock market, meaning companies, new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts! They're nuts! They know nothing!
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now on Market Mania, presented by Kalshi. The no bullshit approach to all markets, including election betting, which we'll be doing a lot of tonight, cryptocurrency, and the largest casino in the world, the US stock market. Not only are we back, baby, but we have Bart Hanson joining us. I know a lot of you remember 4 years ago when we dropped the epic election special stream. Bart kept us all sane when everything was burning down. Bart Hanson, thank you so much for joining us yet again 4 years later.
Yeah, it's amazing how 4 years have just flown right by, but it's good to be back. That brings back some fond memories during election night. And I actually had a large position on Biden that I had put down before the election, and it wasn't really looking all that good that night, although I thought that the market shifts were very irrational, and we can talk about that this time around too, where it really shouldn't have been more than a flip, and Trump got up to like minus 400, 500. But I went to bed thinking that there was a good shot I was going to lose a lot of money, and then it kind of turned around, and then you sort of had the story of that election, which is what I'm hoping to have happen again, which is a lot of money coming in after the election was over on like certain inauguration type bets. I think I ended up getting down like, I don't know, $150,000 laying 9 or 10 to 1 on Trump. No, will not be inaugurated on January 15th. This was weeks after the election was done.
Brett Ritchie, you remember Bart Hanson. I mean, you were taking victory laps, if I remember.
Bart was the star of the show. He came on last election. All the early returns favor Trump. I'm doing my dance. You know, Mattisau's calling in, cackling. Bart's like, wait a second. I don't see why Biden's 20% here, this county, that county. None of them have come in yet. I think it's still a flip. It should be 50-50. I know some of our listeners were listening to Bart. They bet Biden real time, getting like 4 to 1 on that election. And then you go to bed, they bring the mail, whatever happened there, and then suddenly Biden wins the election. Bart looked like a genius, and we're here to run it back. So hopefully we can hit some other, 4 to 1 shots this time around too.
Well, and what I learned what I learned from that, I remember why I actually went back and watched the show, I don't know, a couple weeks ago from 4 years ago, because it's still up on your YouTube. What I learned from that, and I told myself now, is that I'm keeping most of my capital on the sidelines before the election so that I have the ability to deploy if I need crypto to deploy here or there, or just, US dollars here or there on election day. Because that's where I think the real edge is the market shifts when certain poll results, when certain like states come back on election day. And I stand by that.
Well, I knew people that got sidelined last year. They were basically, deployed 100% of their capital, and then these other great opportunities popped up, and they didn't have the money to take advantage of it free at the time. And you need to act quickly in these markets too, especially on election night. So I think that's good advice.
I want to say that there's video evidence of me drinking a bottle of Dom. Maybe it was a kind of a sketchy memory now. And then Bart's like, oh, there's no way. And I'm just like scrambling. Of course, I'm like basically all in at that point, Biden. And then I'm just scrambling on wherever the hell you could get action down. And I'm just like, there's like 500 max clicks. And I'm just like, what? There's plus 350. What? The guy says it's good. Yeah, no, that was a fun time. We're going to run that back in this election is actually creeping up on me. This is, what are we, 2 weeks and change away ish? Yeah. 2.5 weeks away. I mean, to call it. So probably tonight, Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Yes. Remember the 5th of November, ladies and gentlemen, and get it locked on Market Mania. So tonight, let me tell you what we're going to do. So tonight, we got Tony, the producer, locked and loaded in our Kalshi account. And we are going to pull this up. We're going to pick Bart Hanson's brains, and we're just going to basically, not necessarily make the best clicks. Of course, we don't give you investment advice on this show. You're just watching us Tony, the producer, are you locked and loaded? Are you ready to fire our real money on Kalshi? And Bart, I mean, it's kind of, we're doing a 10K to 25K challenge. That's just the challenge we set for ourselves. We put our own cash there. Tony, the producer, thank you very much for joining us. Are you ready? Are you locked and loaded to click?
Oh yeah, my clicker finger is itching. I got money in the portfolio on Kalshi. Thank you to them for sponsoring this and making this all possible. This is so much fun. So, you know, I'm looking at these polls move really quickly. I mean, even when we were talking earlier tonight about getting together, I think they were closer. And then in the time that we've gotten together, I think these have inched apart a little bit. So, I mean, watching these move in real time is astonishing. I just want to capitalize on this and learn what I can and bring it to the audience. So I hope people are able to follow along with us and make some money.
With that, we're going to put the reading glasses on. This isn't a safety glasses kind of thing. This is a reading glasses kind of night. And Bart Hanson, will you just tell the boys and girls listening at home just the first idea you had, and then we're gonna pull that up and get a click in just to make sure that we're not, you know, so people aren't saying that we're cap, as the kids are saying these days. We're going to show them that we're going to bet our money, and we're going to just fire out the first 500 right now. What was it? What was the market that you liked? And I think you hate the man, if I recall.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you had 10,000, I think I might fire 5,000 down on this one. So I was looking at some of the smaller down market sort of races on Kalshi, and I saw the Texas Senate race. So Ted Cruz, who I am just, I mean, I try to keep it, you know, this is betting. We're trying to find an edge. I have a genuine disdain for Ted Cruz, but I will say that this market looks really out of whack to me. The fact that Ted Cruz is only, I don't know what it is right now, so 74 cents. So that's like, what, like minus 300. So, you know, you put up 1,000 to win 333. And the last time I looked at the polls, he was up by like 4 or 5. I know they had a debate last night. It's on the front page of CNN where his opponent brought up January 6th, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that really makes any difference to anybody anymore.
No.
And I just can't see him losing, especially when Trump is going to carry Texas very, very easily. It would be shocking to me to see Ted Cruz lose this. So people have accused me of being like somewhat left-leaning in some of my political betting type of stuff. But right off the bat, you know, this looks like a...
Let's grab one of the evilest Republicans that you can imagine. Get some money down on one of these. Brett, I mean, what do you think? Just let's click at 1,000 just to start. I mean, you know, maybe we'll get to 5K. Maybe we'll circle back.
Similar with Matt Glantz on our show, who is a pretty staunch Democrat. I don't know Bart's political leanings, but he said he hated Ted Cruz, right? So when somebody is betting essentially against their own political preference, someone I consider to be sharp, that is a dream spot, right? Like I assign a high level of confidence to that sort of prediction. And,
yeah,
you know,
and
I don't like Ted Cruz either. Fuck him, but let's bet on his ass.
Yeah, and I haven't really seen any any news or any new polls that sort of suggest that he should have been creeping down like from like the mid 80s, which he sort of has, or maybe the low 80s. So, I mean, this one kind of seems like a little bit of a no-brainer to me. I might even put some personal, I don't know, it would take a lot for me to put some personal money. I mean, here's the thing. I want to give you like a broad overview of the whole, what I think with the election is. This is not like Biden, where Biden was in 2020, when the Nate Silver modeling had him winning about like at maybe, I think it was 89, so like 89%. And you could bet him at this time at like minus 170 or minus 175, which is like the equivalent of like 64 cents in these predictive markets. That was a huge edge, like 28 to 30% if you believed that he was going to win 89, and you could buy him here at 64. What we're looking at here now is I looked at the latest Nate Silver modeling, which is on his Substack, he still has the race as a flip, 50-50. Now, even if you were to say Trump is a little bit of a favorite and maybe Harris is like 48 cents, something like that, for the most part, and again, like on Kalshi, I believe she's at, what is the presidential right now? It's been moving a little bit. She's at 43% or 43 cents, right? So that's not a huge edge, or that's not like a huge disparity between like 48 and 43 like it was in 2020. So I don't see a gigantic value on a lot of these bets at this point right now. What it appears to me in a lot of these predictive markets, I do seem to think that they're skewing a little bit to the right, and that might be a function of the type of people that bet on those predictive markets.
Yeah.
So, you know, like if you put a gun to my head, usually the value is going to be betting on the Democrat, or in this case, Harris, but I have not deployed any of my capital, literally zero, and don't intend to right now, because I think most of the, like I said, most of the edge is going to be on election day. So I think that these markets are a lot closer to what the actual result is going to be, and more efficient and more closer to reality than what they were in 2020. By the way, too, I will say, if you just want to ask my opinion, I think Kamala Harris is actually a worse candidate in 2024 than Biden was in 2020. Now, obviously, Biden would be worse in 24 than both of them, but we know that. But I actually think she's worse just because she doesn't say anything. She doesn't stand for anything.
No.
So I think that might have been like where we kind of see this float kind of downward. There's just nothing really is coming up. So you see a lot of these markets are just sort of skewing towards Trump a little bit. Whether the election is truly 50-50. I mean, I love Nate Silver. I mean, I think he's got the best model out there. The one that he put out this afternoon said it was dead 50-50. I remember watching you guys a couple weeks ago. I think Glantz kind of said it best, where the market's 50-50. If you can get 6-5 on one side, then you know that's an edge, but it's not that big of an edge though. You know
we're going to get
It's
to Tony to get this bet down, just so we're going to, because I got an itchy trigger finger. I just want to get action down, Bart. I just really want to click in a bet. And then I have a sort of a general question for you, just about just one of the ideas that I shared with you personally, just about, you know, some of that in-game market, or how I think it'll move right at the beginning. So Tony, are you locked and loaded, ready to go?
Locked and loaded. I got $1,000 ready to put on this. And I just want to say, anybody watching, if you want to follow along, please go to Kalshi.com/Market Mania. That's what helps us the most. That's how we get to keep doing this. Yeah. It's so easy. So this is really how it is. I'm going to review this, acknowledge and submit. And
deposit
boom.
from your U.S. bank.
We're done. So
1,000 to win 315. And by the way, just on a personal note, for a little pitch for Kalshi, I think a lot of people don't realize that you know, they started a couple of weeks ago for election betting. They basically got it turned on with the court ruling. I deposited money there via ACH. It was really, really easy. So, and there's no caps like on some other sites. So you can go right now as a U.S. citizen. Yeah, you can go right now, put money in, and start betting on the election, which is never used. I think it might be the first time that we've been able to actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Predicted back in the day, but they had it
was small monies.
Yeah, Predicted's cap. That's what I was thinking about. You could only bet like $800 on a market.
Oh, so. And you get 4% also on both your open positions and your balance, and
a withdrawal fee too. It's all
so we're getting
it's all
4%
rigged up
right now. It's awesome. It's the best place to just store your money. Just keep it there like a bank. Get that 4%, and then when you see an opportunity, monetize your insights. It's so easy. Anyway, here we go. I just
Bart,
put up this national poll here. If you guys want to walk me through this, doesn't make much sense compared to what we're seeing on the prediction market. So,
well, this is the popular vote poll, right?
Okay.
So I mean, it's a popular vote poll, and kind of consensus is that, like, if Harris, if she is, I think the magic number is 2.5-ish, 2 to 2.5-ish. If she goes below that, Trump has a much better chance of winning, just the way that, you know, these things work. So, I mean, she is, that's another interesting bet. I think she's 75 cents on Kalshi to win the popular vote, which I find pretty low. Like, I would probably take her on that side. I don't know.
Trump to arbitrage that. This was Mycon's play, but we bet on the account Trump to win the popular vote, with he's hoping for a run back of that same thing last year where Trump steams up early, and then we can.
Oh, then you sell it. You sell it as it goes up. Yeah, that's a good play, Mycon. Yeah. I think that's
we're going to see if that one works out live in 2.5 weeks. I think, and I mean, you can tell me, Bart, what your thoughts are on it, but I mean, I think that it's face up level 1 stuff. I think we'll see the same thing that we saw in 2020. I think that the first couple states to report, I know that we did a little digging, just, you know, some light research, and the first states to report are generally red. Like, it's generally like, it has to be red. And I think that the first, like, you know, whoever's election data you're looking that night, the first numbers that come back are like Trump wins. You know, and you know, I mean, I just think people are, that you don't get to run this enough. This isn't like a poker tournament where people over the last 2 decades have learned how to play them. You get this once every 4 year. I think people are super religious about it. And then I think that we're going to see the same thing. I mean, you can tell me, I mean, I don't know. Do you think that that's going to happen again?
Well, a couple things on that point, and I remember talking to you about this. I don't know how much like people who are like, you know, go Trump, and then if early results come back in his favor, I don't know if they're going to be flooding to the popular vote market or more just the general presidential market, who's going to win, you know, the electoral college. I think that that's a good play where the actual market price that you get now isn't all that relevant, even if you don't believe it, because you're basically doing an arbitrage, right? Like you think that it's going to go up. Now, the difference between 2024 and 2020, though, where it might not do that as much, is that Florida, Ohio, and like Texas, they're not in play like they were in 2020. You know, all that shit went up like crazy when like the stuff from Florida was coming back, and some of the stuff from North Carolina and Georgia. But like, I mean, North Carolina and Georgia are sort of in play. I actually think that there's some value actually betting on Trump in Georgia. The last time that I saw it, that's kind of the only place that I see the value.
What's his price there, Tony?
I think it was only like 60 cents.
That in.
Yeah, it's down to 58 cents.
We got Trump at 58 cents.
So I was looking at...
Bart, we're saying that we like that? What do you think, well, 500? You want to just sail in 500 real quick?
Well, so yeah.
Tony, sail in 500 while Bart's just talking.
So Nate Silver's model, as of today, this afternoon, he had Trump winning 64.5% of the time in Georgia. 64.5% of the time. So that was the biggest sort of shift that I saw with Trump, like the biggest sort of edge on Trump. Now, there's another one on the other side with Pennsylvania and Harris, which is out of whack, I think, too, over there. But again, Florida's not in play. Texas not in play. Ohio's not in play. I think North Carolina and Georgia, people sort of expect Trump to... I guess probably North Carolina and Georgia are probably about the same as they were maybe leading into 2020. But I guess my point is that you're not seeing, like, I don't know if you're going to necessarily see like the craziness that we saw last time because of early, say, Florida exit polling or something like that, you know?
So Jeff in the chat says Helene locked up North Carolina. Big money definitely knows something for the move today. I can see that the hurricane and the response by the Democratic administration did not do them any favors in terms of winning this election. And then, Bart, we got a question from Adam Sherman in the chat. How much do you weigh Nate Silver versus Nate Cohn or G. Elliott Morris or whoever runs RCP in terms of aggregators?
Well, the difference is like all these predictive markets are all the way that they weight certain polls, like specific polls, and how they how they account for bias. So, I mean, I've been looking at this stuff since 2016 and even a little bit earlier, and I just find Nate Silver's poll, Nate Silver's like his model, I think it's the best. I'm not super familiar with those other ones, like in terms of how, like, for example, like if you go to the most recent polls in Michigan, I think Trump might be slightly up, maybe over the last week or something like that. But a lot of the models still give Harris an edge. And that has to do with like the fact that it was like some right leaning polls that affect the polling average, like Rasmussen and Trafalgar tend to like are sort of right skewing. So you don't just average, like it's a weighted average. I mean, it's kind of opaque. It's like a YouTube algorithm or like, Facebook algorithm. You don't really know how they're doing it, but I've just found that Nate Silver's model, I feel like he's got the most, it's obviously the oldest.
All right.
He's got the most going on.
Bart, I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to stare at the Botox ladies right there. That's a great ad. We're going to have to get the ad blocker on the old Market Mania machine eventually. But, I pulled up 270 to win here right now, 270towin.com. I don't even know who owns the site or whatever. They do not sponsor us, but that is a great site to play this. And it is, I'm going to put you on the spot here. Mm-hmm. We need to fill this out. We need to fill this motherfucker out. And I understand that it basically all that really matters is who you choose for Pennsylvania. I mean, I understand that this map, you could almost throw it away. I mean, well, tell me, do you believe that Pennsylvania is the key? And then start throwing out which state, if you had to choose today, what do the 7 swing states look like to you?
Well, yeah, Pennsylvania is the key because if Trump wins Pennsylvania, and I have this thing off to the left too, if Trump wins Pennsylvania, basically,
I love this.
Harris has to carry Arizona, Nevada, all the blue north. We talk about the blue north, although Minnesota isn't really in play. So that's Michigan. Click
it in as he's telling us. Like let's run this one, then we'll click the reset and then run another one. So Tony, click in Wisconsin and Michigan blue. Which and those really looked like they were going to be blue for sure, but then now it's like kind of flippy.
My girl Jill Stein is going to help
close.
Trump win Michigan.
Yeah, it's close. So
you can see the numbers, and Tony, if you could just scroll down just a bit so we can see the Democrat and the Republican number, just the other way, and then there you go. So now we see the Democrat 251, Republican 238, and then go ahead, Bart. You have North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada.
So make sure that Pennsylvania, Texas, and Florida are red. I don't know if okay. Yeah. Okay.
They're pink.
They start red.
Counts.
Yeah. So they're red. So and then what are we missing? Yeah. So at that point, she would have
Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina.
Yeah, she would have to win. I think 2 of these 4 states to get to 270. And not just Nevada and Arizona. It would either have to be like North Carolina and go back to where we were before. Just go back a couple steps. Where was she at without these states filled in? Just put Georgia, North Carolina back to neutral, and Arizona and Nevada back to neutral. So she's
as soon as you give her, you gave Trump Pennsylvania, and I just gave Michigan, Wisconsin.
So she needs another 19 electoral votes to get to 270 if she loses Pennsylvania. This is assuming she wins Michigan and Wisconsin. So you can see that it's got to be basically 2 of those 4 she needs to take, and not just Nevada and Arizona, although it looks like she's not going to win in Arizona. So it's just like Pennsylvania.
She ain't going to win here either. Man on the ground in Nevada.
Well, I don't. Now, Nevada's pretty close, though. I think it kind of is very, very slight favorite for Harris, but North Carolina and Georgia, do they correlate a little bit? They probably do. I don't think she's going to win those states. That's why I think Pennsylvania, she has to win.
Yeah. So we got a question in the chat too about Michigan. Any thoughts on Michigan being underrated for Trump? 260,000 Arab population. Unions did not endorse Harris. Seems like a sneaky Trump state.
Well, it's funny because the whole reason I feel like why she didn't pick the governor of Pennsylvania as her VP candidate was
because he's Jewish.
Was because of this. She didn't want to lose some of those votes in Michigan.
Yeah.
And it just feels like I thought that was a pretty big blunder to take Waltz.
I mean, Waltz seems I'm not a fan of him. The whole I'm a bumbling Midwest dumb guy. Like, why are you even playing that role? Like,
Tim.
I just don't understand I don't understand why she took Waltz over Shapiro. It doesn't make Shapiro could only have helped her when you pick a popular governor in that state. It could only have helped her. That was a pretty big blunder.
All right. In today's, political, economy here, when you take the Jewish guy, they're not as popular as we used to be. Like, it's just, they keep, throwing the bombs, and then some people are like, those free Palestines are going everywhere. You see those protests all over the place, and then you're gonna have to answer that question and be like, why do you like killing babies, Shapiro? She's gonna have to deal with that basically every stop.
I don't know. But picking Waltz.
Now you got a sack of mashed potatoes instead with Waltz.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, but picking Waltz isn't going to necessarily help. Like, if she had picked Shapiro, I don't think she's any worse off in any of the other states, and she would have been better off in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
The Arabs ain't voting for her then. I mean, and I think the Democrats have a big problem with that too, because both political parties are very pro-Israel. And so it seems like you're losing some sliver of the left, like the far left. It seems like they're still kind of on board, like, okay, we can't have the crazy grifty fascists. Like, we still need, even though that they're supporting the Israel. And I think that there's a lot of possible weakness in the left because you have to make that call. And I think you might get a lot of like no votes. Like maybe people that voted Biden 2020 might go to a no vote and just smash things in the street instead.
The other thing I want to bring up, because this was on the front page of the New York Times, I found this kind of interesting in the election area of the New York Times, is they had the states where the polls like missed by the most, I think in 2020, and the polls that underestimated Trump the most. Wisconsin, even though Biden pulled out Wisconsin, underpolled by 9% for Trump. Like he ended up being 9% closer than what the polls had. And if you look at that, and then you look at the polls now, and I believe that in 16 it was off as well when Trump won. It's like this is not a guarantee. I mean, that was one of the things I kept saying on 2020 in real time. Like I said, even when it wasn't looking good during Election Day, I was like, I refuse to believe that Biden's going to lose the blue North. Well, I don't refuse to believe that now. She could lose Michigan and Wisconsin for sure. If she's only up by like 2% in Wisconsin, and historically, it's it polls it's skewed, and it under sort of samples Trump voters. It's a big problem, and she isn't even up by 2%. So at this time, Biden was up by 6 points in Wisconsin, Trump versus Harris, and right now it's like a dead even. So
let me ask one question about that, Bart, because you bring up something super good there with like, okay, so the polls were off by 9 points. That basically means like, okay, you weren't close. I mean, is it possible? And I have like, I get this from two sides. I got some lefty friends that are in Nevada and then Illinois. And they're like, okay, I don't think these prediction markets really have it right. I think it's just some rich guy, some rich Trump banger, just clicking in money. And then I got it on the other side with like, I got some friends in Florida that are like, dude, it's just going to be a red wave. Like, I think that the same reason why they underpolled by 9 points in Michigan, it's just like the Trump people aren't participating in polls. They're just going to silently, they're not going to tell their family, some of them, they're just going to go there, click that button, 2 middle fingers to the machine. And then like, is it possible that we're all just like kind of spinning our wheels and there really isn't a great way to predict the election with like superb accuracy?
Well, I could flip that around on you and say that I think, just from my own personal experience, just giving a sense that people are more open about supporting Trump than maybe they were in 2020 or early elections, which would tend to mean that the polling error would be less. Yeah. Right? Would be less than prior elections.
This is the first time I think that people are comfortable saying, I like Trump, I'm voting for Trump.
Right,
and then it's not like, you fucking racist bigot, people screeching.
Right. But
you were losing
if you guys
your job back then. You were losing your job in 2020.
Yeah, you're making people feel unsafe at work, like get the fuck out of here.
If you guys are looking to put other money down, I have two things highlighted.
Yes, please.
One
please,
on Trump.
Thank you. Please tell us to bet something. I need action.
I saw Georgia at 58 cents for Trump on Kalshi earlier. I think that's what it still is. And then when I was looking over at the Nate Silver model, he had Trump winning 65% of the time in Georgia. Now, the thing about Georgia, so that's like, if you can get 58 cents and Silver thinks he's going to win 65, all those, like, I don't know exactly, because I haven't looked into it, and I will before Election Day, because, of course, Micon, we've talked about this off the air. It's all about like how the votes are counted. They had those record-breaking like early votes. And then also like, but a little bit like with like a lot of votes in Fulton County where Atlanta is, or a lot of people coming out. But, you look at that seems like there's a little bit of value there in betting on Trump. And then I have a Kamala play on the other side of that.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear the Kamala play.
I don't understand why.
Gonna...
So they have Harris at 45 cents in Pennsylvania, Trump 55, Harris 45. I know that there were some recent polls that put Trump out a couple of points, but they weren't the best quality polls. They were like those right sort of leaning polls. And even just today, as I've been monitoring the price on Kalshi, like she's gone down by several cents. And there's really no reason why anything has really happened. Like she was at like 48 cents at like noon, and now she's at 45 cents.
I mean, it honestly could be better as just reacting to like the Brett Baer interview.
Well,
right?
I was going to say that, but I don't think that changes. But that doesn't.
No, I agree with you. I don't think it matters. No,
right.
It doesn't. The Fox viewers already hated her for the most part.
So if you're looking for a little bit of inefficiency in the market, if you've got a bunch of people who are like more confident in Trump now because of that interview, but it doesn't actually change the odds.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, again, Nate Silver has her winning Pennsylvania he's got it 53, Harris at 53. So you've got Pennsylvania where Silver's got Harris winning 53% of the time, and you can buy her at 45. And then in Georgia, he's got Trump winning 65% of the time, and you can buy Trump at 58. Those were the ones that were like...
Do you want to sell what we got? We got some... We actually had fired Trump in Pennsylvania before that bump. Before that happened, it looks like we have a $36 profit on Pennsylvania. You want to just sell it? I mean, we're just, Bart says it's a little overvalued. I don't know. You want to take bank the $36?
Let's pile it in on Kamala. We'll take that little profit. We'll swing trade it. We'll take plus 150. Either side of PA.
Tony, dump it.
I mean, this is a great thing about prediction markets, right? Like you don't have to wait for the outcome.
Yeah,
right? It's like a stock.
Like if I go to the sports book here in Vegas, right, and I buy like the Broncos to win the Super Bowl, I'm just stuck with that ticket. Well, I wouldn't do that, but either way, I'm just stuck with that ticket, right? Here, it's great because you can just trade in and out. And like the bet Micon made for the election, he's not thinking, he didn't necessarily think Trump was going to win the popular vote at that price, but he thinks the price action, we can get out at a profit. So I really like that you can trade in and out.
And we just did it. We just, Bart said it, our position was a little overvalued. So look, we just, banked $18.86. It's super easy. Everybody get on Kalshi.com/Market Mania.
I mean, and then
could make $18.
And again, like the general, the national race to win the Electoral College, 57-43. Maybe that's a little bit. There's a little bit of value on Kamala Harris at 43 cents, but it's not like anything what it was before. So, if someone's, like I said, if you need to deploy it now, as an exercise, I would probably buy Kamala at 43 cents, but it's nothing like what it was in 2020. Although, but I wouldn't buy, I think getting Trump at 57 is probably too much of a price. So I would tend to stay away from that one. But I think that those two states, Georgia and then Pennsylvania, having both of those sides are pretty good. And then also, too, I talked about popular, right? Like, what's the popular price of Kamala winning the popular votes at 72? Which I thought was pretty low on Kalshi.
So is there a world where Trump wins the popular vote? And again, our trade is just a swing trade. I hope I know. And it's, I'm glad you dialed me. I'm glad you're reeling me back in here with the Florida juice kind of not in play anymore. But I mean, is there a world where he can win the popular vote?
Well, there's a world, but there's not a very good chance. I mean, it could be like getting in pocket aces versus pocket king. Well, maybe not that bad. 82%. Well, what did he? So Silver's got the popular vote.
Where's the popular? Where's the popular, Tony?
It's there somewhere if you go to elections.
All right, Kalshi, we need that popular vote market somewhere a little bit above. Call the UI guy. We're gonna give you max value for sponsoring this show. We're gonna do a little UI UX work for you too. But that popular needs to be somewhere. You scroll, you click election. Yeah, go ahead, Bart.
Nate Silver has Harris winning the popular vote 75% of the time. I can see in Kalshi it's 71-29. Tony, I just went up to the search bar and just typed in popular, and I got the I got the market. There it is.
Thank you very much, Bart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I personally, I think that Trump is the only one of the two that could win in a landslide or blowout. I'm not saying it's necessarily likely, but my theory is that the sort of bettors in these markets are going to skew Trump landslide much heavier than like is accurate. So I don't even look for that kind of bet because I don't think I'll ever get the right price. Even though I do think that there's some chance that Trump can, So
you think that this price is probably too high, right, for Trump?
I think in general, yeah, like getting 3-1 on Trump for a lot of people is just like a slam. I mean, look how much money people were betting after he lost on him last time.
Right. That's what I'm saying in general about these prediction markets. Just the type of people that bet. Usually, there's more value in betting on the Democrats, just because if you look at the profile of somebody that bets on a site like this, that's kind of where it is, and it's not quite like sports where people are betting with their heart a lot more than sports, right? Like even if you're a diehard,
I got thoughts on that.
If you're a diehard fan,
I got thoughts on that, Bart.
Yeah, I mean you're still if you're a diehard fan.
How about a pendulum swinging? How about pendulum swinging though on just not sports, but then for the election? So you had 16, the big upset. I was long Hillary in 16. And I was just clicking in at the end, and I'm like, oh, she's going to steal this one back, somehow.
What a great night that was.
Give me my plus 500. Yeah, I mean, I'm like wrecked, but like, yeah, I guess it was fun. And then, you were on Trump were you on Trump in 16?
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Contrarian Richie.
Dude, I had never seen such like social media hostility and just from the Hillary people, and Trump is this evil racist, which I did not believe was the case. And
so
it was great. It was a great night for me. I loved it.
So Bart, from a betting perspective, so the pendulum swings. So 16, all the Trump people win, right? And then all the Dems are wrecked. Then we go to 2020. The Trump people theoretically should have been pumped up. And then the Biden, the lefties should have been, now they win. And then now the Trump people should be wrecked. And then now, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, where like the general profile of the general guy with USDC or whatever, or just is willing to just ACH a big number in and bet on elections, it probably does lean right. But then now the pendulum, might swing back. And I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, does that, am I just speaking nonsense? Is this horoscopes for men, or what is this?
I don't know from election to election if that necessarily has all that much relevance. I'm just talking about if you're a big fan of, I don't know, the Pittsburgh Steelers or something like that, and that they're favored by 6.5 points, you're not going to bet them huge at 7.5 points or at 7 points because that's a bad line. But people tend to do that in politics, though. That's what I'm talking about. That's the big difference between politics and sports. Very religious markets. So
super religious. And then Bart alluded to it earlier, that people after the election last year, and this was big in the poker world, you could have looked on poker Twitter and see people getting down big numbers. Bart said he fired 6 figs.
I think Matt got 6 figures down also, our co-host on Biden after he won.
There was an election market on FTX about Trump like being inaugurated, RIP FTX, and SBF is, unfortunately going to have to sweat this election from a jail cell.
With Diddy.
He is
next to Diddy.
Yeah.
With Diddy and SBF watching the election results, fucking SBF has like 4 packets of ramen and cigarettes on, the Dems, he's going to get wrecked again in the middle of JV. It's got to feel bad. But I mean, okay, so let's dial this back in and click some more buttons. Where were we? Brett Ritchie, take me back. Bart Hanson, where were we?
No, I was just saying that you might find
another wager.
I feel like there's some value in betting Kamala Harris at 71 cents here for the popular vote.
We'd have to dump our Trump shares.
Oh, is that? Yeah, well, you guys got the other side.
Well, we bought it at 24 cents, so we're up. So I don't mind swing trading personally.
And you want to have a position, but you guys want to have a position swing, right?
Mike On's goal was to dump it when the votes start coming in. Was the initial plan.
First couple votes coming in.
Right. And I think that's totally.
Then sell.
I mean, the only thing that I'll add to that, though, Mike, as I told you before, is that I would make that play on the regular presidential market too. Like I just think that what you're trying to capture.
You just told us to bet Kamala. You said Kamala's got value on the regular presidential.
No, but what I'm saying is that the play that you're trying to make, I think you'll be able to capture more of that swing in the regular presidential market versus the popular market. I don't see the rah-rah guys coming in dumping a bunch of money on the popular vote market. Like popular vote doesn't mean anything.
I think they'll hit everything. I think they'll hit everything. I think if it starts and they see the first couple of results, I think they'll hit popular and I think they'll hit general.
I don't remember from 2020 because we didn't talk about it. We didn't look at it if the popular vote market swung like crazy. Does anybody remember?
I don't remember, but I mean, what if Biden won it by like 7 million? So I don't even remember what the odds were, but I assume he was favored.
Oh, I mean, if he was favored at 89 to win the election,
yeah,
it must have been.
Can we pull up? I just don't think we haven't really wagered enough from. We haven't wagered enough for my taste tonight. Can you, Tony? Can you pull up the swing states? Can you just pull up the swing states? Can we just go one by one through Bart and Brett, and just because maybe we can make some $300 or $500
I defer to Bart for sure. I don't have a strong opinion other than I know Trump's going to win in the landslide. But
swing states. Let's say Wisconsin feels like it's going to be like hella blue to me, but
so
that shows
Wisconsin
flippy. What do you like in Wisconsin?
So that was another one that I had somewhat highlighted here. So Nate Silver's model from earlier today had Harris winning 54%, and then Kalshi has her only at 48. So that's like an 11% thing. That's the next largest one on the Harris side after Pennsylvania.
How much do we have in play on PA? I would bet 2 or 3K on her in PA personally. Just send it.
And that's
at 45 cents, general, right? Though. Yeah.
Wouldn't you say PA is like betting the general?
Well, it's going to be a huge factor, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gonna. I mean, I've seen some of those figures. I think the chances that somebody wins PA and then wins the general are quite high. I don't know what the number is. It's like in the 70s or 80s. I saw, like I said, because there's only a certain path. And then, of course, these states correlate too as well. Yeah. But I will say, though, Michigan and Wisconsin usually correlate, but it's so close.
No, I would bet like 2K here, honestly. Or at least a dime. Not a Timex dime, but a regular old dime.
Yep. We ready? Let's do it.
So doing good. It. Yep. Ripping it in. We got action, baby. Oh, man.
Easy come, easy go, boys.
Yeah.
That was hurt. That hurt Tony. Did you see Tony physically react? Did you see that? Somebody clip that. Are we a big enough show where I can just be like, yo, somebody clip that? Does that happen yet? We'll be there soon, Bart.
We need better Twitter marketing for sure, and having clipped the best parts of the show to YouTube Shorts, Twitter stuff, that'll be a good help.
But I mean, you guys know, you don't have to stick with that position. You can sell it, before the election.
Sure.
And again, somebody in the live chat said that betting Kamala in PA instead of Wisconsin as an L. Yeah, but it's 45 cents versus 48 cents, though. So it's not the same price.
Better again the other one. Better whatever. Just show them, we can't let chat, they're not watching this thinking we're just a bunch of pussies. And, I mean, just like you want to see, you want us to bet Kamala again? We'll bet the other state, whatever.
Are we betting her in Wisconsin also?
Wisconsin?
That was the one that I said. So, like
that's
I said,
what you like,
fire another dime in Pennsylvania, fire another dime in Wisconsin, whatever.
And then, so there's Wisconsin. Wisconsin was Nate Silver has at like 54.46 at noontime, and you can get her at 48. So, yeah, I mean that's a little bit. It's not quite as high as Pennsylvania, but yeah, I mean that could definitely.
We got Jeff in the chat saying, Jeff in the chat here says Kamala should be 60 in Wisconsin and 20 in PA. Do your own research. Jeff, I'd love to be your bookie, but I'm not
20?
Yeah. 20 seems a little low. I'm from PA. I don't know. From territory, though, Western PA.
Bart, let me ask you something. Instead of betting yes on Kamala in Wisconsin, I know it's basically the same bet, but betting no on the Don, I mean, doesn't it feel better to bet a no on somebody than a yes on the other one when it's basically the same price?
Well, I don't think it matters if it's the same price. And other sort of market platforms where you're capped, it matters because it's a way to be able to get more money in on one side by betting a yes on a no. But here, if it's the same price,
sure.
I mean, maybe it feels better to you. I don't know. but the way that this thing works. This was the other fun one. This was the other fun one that I had told Tony about beforehand. I don't know about the volume. There's no way Elon Musk is going to be, is it nominate? What does that mean, nominate? Sometimes you have to look at the resolution markets for this. I assume nominated means like formally nominate. Like even if Trump wins.
But they kept talking, but I read all the time, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. I read it. He says he's on board. He's running around with Trump in Pennsylvania. He's jumping. He's doing his little tism jump, and I mean, just so what doesn't he is that a cabinet position? Does he make it a cabinet position, or is that just an LOL position? I mean, what does this mean? Do you have any idea? I don't really. I don't know.
I just can't believe he's not going to be able to take an actual job in the government because. What about his stock price and Tesla? Anything that takes away from Tesla, anything that takes away from time from Tesla, Dude,
he's got 3 multi-billion-dollar entities.
Yeah. Twitter. I mean, it's insane. All I know is I would like to have Elon in there, just chopping some heads and making the government more efficient.
I can't get a website changed in a week, and this dude's launching. He's catching a fucking biggest rocket ever. He's like. This dude just wakes up on a Monday. He's like, design me a dick-shaped rocket that'll deploy worldwide internet satellites everywhere. And then it fucking happens. And yes, get this guy. These are the people. Elon's actually, he catches all this lefty hate, which I really don't fucking understand. You've never seen anybody more capable. Just do things. You need the smartest people in the room to run the government. You have the people that run billion-dollar companies. Fortune 500 companies are run by smart people. You really can, I mean, maybe there's 1 or 2 examples, but for the most part, they're smart people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. And you get to government that runs everything with even, the highest stakes in the world. And it's run by 80-year-old vampires that are with disingenuous shit that would never become CEOs of big companies, that are not nearly smart enough, that are not nearly fair enough. And that it makes no sense. And when you get a guy like Elon, give this motherfucker the bankroll. Have him fix some shit. Absolutely. But okay, all right. Bart, dial me in here. It's not a cabinet position.
I would bet no.
Department of Government Efficiency is a made-up thing.
I would bet no on this. I would bet some money on no on this.
Tony gets some no.
500.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000. I mean, 1,000. Yeah, come on, Bart. You're not going to put 500 in front of Bart. You're going to embarrass us in front of Bart betting 500.
You're right. And come here to pussyfoot around. Sorry, Bart.
And then there's also you can make a couple of long lays on Trump. A couple other markets where you could bet Trump to yes on Texas and bet Trump yes on Florida.
I think just collect free money, just collect the interest there.
Well, I mean, if Trump is only 89 or 90 cents in both of those areas, what we got here? 89 cents in Florida, and what Nate Silver? Oh, Nate Silver's got more than 90. Yeah. What about Texas? $0.90. So the Silver model has Texas winning. Him winning at 94%. But I mean, when it gets up to those numbers, though, it's 94, 90. I just can't imagine. It's a pretty long lay.
This show really.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of laying those huge prices. Yeah.
This show is more about the 10 cents to win $1 kind of stuff. But I mean, than the 90 cents to win $1. But what is there also? Do you have anything else right there? Because I did want you to look at the winning all swing states, because this was one I had both my righty friends and my lefty friends both equally flabbergasted at the price for the swing state sweep.
What is the swing state sweep?
I'm not exactly sure. I want to say it might. It might not. It was is there a win all swing states? I don't know. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even Is there a win all? Maybe not. I
Swing
want to
states?
say that I saw a price somewhere. I don't know where, like 28 cents, but I don't know if it was here.
What, on both sides it was
Maybe it's
28
not
cents?
on here. It was like, I think 14 cents for Kamala and 28 cents for Trump or something like that. And then my lefty friends were like, I can't believe this is like Trump could win all the swing states for 28 cents. And then the righty friend was like, I can't believe Kamala's got any piece of all swing states. And he was thinking Georgia. He's like dead set on Georgia and North Carolina. He said North Carolina because the hurricane, so it can't possibly go down. And then Georgia, I feel, is like a pendulum swing state.
Well, Arizona is the one that
Just
he's
like,
favored.
you know,
Arizona is the one that he is favored the most in to win, according to Silver, at like 67.
Maricopa County.
Yeah, I remember
We're gonna
Maricopa
hear
County.
about get locked and loaded for the 5th of November. Remember, because Maricopa County will be on everybody's lips. And
Yep.
oh man, this night is going to be great, Bart. And I thank you, by the way, for joining us then too. Thank you so much for that. That's
So there's
super fun.
one other small position you could maybe put. So what is North Carolina right now? Is it 59 cents? 59 cents. And then Silver's got Trump winning North Carolina by 61 cents. If you think that there's some storm bias going on there too, yeah, you could put a position here on Trump. Again, it's not huge.
Put it in.
I know.
Put it in, Tony.
You know,
All right, not huge. Are we allowed to bet 500 here, Bart, or is this 1,000?
Yeah.
Is this, are we doing 1,000 clicks?
Yeah, no, I mean,
okay,
whatever-
we're allowed to bet 1,000.
yeah,
Yeah, we're allowed to.
whatever you guys want.
We can bet, yeah, it's whatever. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there we go.
Like I said,
right.
I think that you already hit I think the best market for Trump with these odds is Georgia. You hit that. I think the best market probably for Harris is Pennsylvania. You hit that. Yeah, I mean, I think you're in good spots.
Can we so just to be full honesty, and Bart, we are probably gonna wrap this soon. But I thank you so much. We could do this all night, honestly. But if you can fit it in your schedule to come back one more time before November 5th, take a look at whatever the hell
Sure.
we're gonna do with this portfolio over the next week or so,
Yeah,
and just kind of
absolutely.
tune us up into. We're gonna want to free up some cash for election night too. You know, we're going to
Absolutely.
treat this as its own bankroll. We're probably all going to have our own, personal wagers on all this stuff. But then for this bankroll, we're going to tune it up. Maybe come back a couple days before election or something like that.
Sure.
We're going to tune up this roll. We're going to free up some cash. We're going to do what you said. We're going to have free cash to deploy on election night. Because I got a feeling that we are going to, on that night, see some wild. Even if it doesn't go like last time, I got a feeling there's going to be opportunity. I got a feeling we're going to see opportunity. You're going to be jumping out of your chair again.
Also, I think
I might
so.
drink poison
Are there
again.
any East Coast states where the polls do not close at 8 p.m.? So they all close at 8 p.m. usually, right?
The initial poll or the second, cheating batch of votes that come in?
right. When
Right
no,
on,
the
right,
initial
Steve.
polls. The initial polls, because even now, like, they don't
I
usually.
think it's all 8. I think it's by time zone for the most part, but you never know. It's like a New Hampshire or something. If they had different rules, it wouldn't surprise
Well,
me.
the
I have a list
legacy,
up of this stuff at
the
some point.
mainstream media, the quote unquote legacy media, they sort of, or at least up until this election, have always usually don't put out a projection, put out exit polls until the polls close. For the most part, they won't call a state.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's when the stuff starts to really shift, and I think that is when it went nuts, right? Last time,
yeah.
Yeah.
like right around 8:30, 9 o'clock, something like that.
So we also have Adam in the chat. We messed up the bets. We need to be betting no instead of yes. We'll deal with that after the show, but we can clean up our portfolio a bit. But anyone following along at home, just check the YouTube chat. There's some pro tips from another election bettor in there.
Oh, okay.
Was that the guy that had 100K on Kamala Popular?
Maybe
Maybe it's a different guy. Could have been a different guy. So you can find Bart Hanson over at Crush Live Poker. He
Yes.
does what are you doing? What are you doing now, Bart? Tell us. So you doing a podcast? I know, because you have a great, we're still getting our mics are still being shipped to the Caribbean.
Well,
stuff.
Crush Live Poker's been
What do you
around,
do?
Crushlight Poker's been around for 10, 15 years. You know, it's a live poker training site, but I do, you know, if you want to check out the Crushlight Poker YouTube channel, I do a call-in show where we put up, I don't know, 3 or 4 videos a week where people call in hands and graphically display them. So if you're into that type of thing, it's mostly of the 2-card variety, all sort of no-limit cash games. You can check that out. It's can be quite entertaining at times, but I'm just trucking along. As usual, the site's grown quite a bit since 2020 after when COVID, you know, remember we were in the middle of COVID at 2020. I didn't even know if live poker was going to come back at that time.
And Bart was I remember you as a sit and go master. I remember Bart Hanson, the sit and go crusher back in the way days. We have gotten old somewhere back there. And
I did play party poker sit and goes. I did play party. That was the first Black Friday back in 2006.
That is almost 2 decades ago. Just if anybody is clocking us, I remember being the young gun. But we were the young guns of poker 2 decades ago. these people up here on this thing. But okay, thank you so much, Bart.
And I'll come back whenever you guys want.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bart.
All right, cool.
Your book for November 5th too. We got you. You're now you're grandfathered in. Now it's what you do on election night. It's Market Mania. You do the Market Mania live stream on election night. We're also going to have Phil Hellmuth. We're going to have Daniel Negreanu. We're going to have a whole bunch of gambler famous people on. Mike Matusow. I can't wait to talk to Mike Matusow, Brett. He was a great. I mean, he's great. Matusow's great. Batshit crazy. Love him though. Love you, Mike.
Love Mike.
He was on.
Are you tired of being right yet, Mike? That's what Mike says whenever I see him. Whenever I see Mike, he says, "Brett, are you tired of being right yet?" I'm not tired of it. You know, I'm gonna keep doing it.
All right, we are gonna send this very special episode of Market Mania out right now. We don't have pick of the day. It doesn't end like how you usually ends. It just kind of, abruptly ends. I mean, that's just what it does. And it's, it's unfortunate, but thank you very much, Bart Hanson. You can find him at Crush Live Poker. We will see you tomorrow if there is a tomorrow. And for now, it is lights out.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. Time to right the wrong. So your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl. Switch it up. I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard at the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. Power of attorney where I would turn in. Can't lie like this is to be burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I imagine to look the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind. Was afraid of the time. Strobe light like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now. How about tonight? My interview's tight now. I was